I'm Joe. I'm a musician and music therapist, and welcome back to In Harmony. Today we're going to look at passing chords. Now, passing chords are a really nice way to inject some extra colour or harmonic complexity into your existing chord progressions. So let's get straight to it. What is a passing chord? Well, a passing chord is kind of a chord that connects one chord in a sequence to another. So it kind of sits in between two existing chords, if you want to think about it like that. And for today's video, we're going to take a chord sequence that already exists as a framework to start with. We're going to look at the chords to Lose Control by Teddy Swims, which are E minor, G, C, and B7. Yeah, so it's a really nice minor progression on E. And that progression sounds absolutely fine on its own, but we're going to use some different types of passing chords to try and add some complexity, some colour, some spice into the sequence, and hopefully by the end of the video you'll have some interesting ideas to come away with as well. So first of all, we're going to look at approaching the chords diatonically from below. So what do I mean by that? So we're going to approach each chord from this direction diatonically. What does diatonically mean? It means within the scale. In this case, within the scale of E natural minor or E Aeolian. However, as often happens in my progressions, when we get to the B7, we get this leading tone that gives us our harmonic minor scale. But for the sake of argument, when we're talking about diatonically, we're talking about the scale of E natural minor. So we're approaching these chords diatonically from this direction. Okay, so if we've got our first chord, E minor, and we want to get to G, okay, so we're approaching the G chord diatonically from below. So that means it's coming from the F sharp. Now, in the key of E natural minor, F sharp, when we harmonise it, it's actually F sharp diminished. So our passing chord will be F sharp diminished. So we'll go from E minor, is our F sharp diminished. Yeah? So we're using that chord to connect E minor to G. Good. We'll do the same for C. So we're approaching C diatonically from below, so it means we're going to be approaching it from the B. Okay. Harmonise that within the scale and we get B minor. Do the same for B7. Diatonically from this direction. It's A. Within the context of our key, it's A minor. So approaching B7 via the A minor below it. Okay? Now, we could also approach E minor, because we're going back to the top of the form. We could approach E minor from the diatonic chord below it, which in this case would be D. Yes, we go from B7. That's quite nice. However, we've already got that strong B minor 7, which leads to E minor. But for the sake of this exercise, we'll put all the passing chords in. So good. first look at passing chords, approaching diatonically from below. Now we're going to look at approaching diatonically from above. So we'll start with our E minor. We're going to approach above, so from this direction to the G, which is our A minor, down to G, approaching C, approaching C with the chord from above. That's D major to C, and then approaching B7 from the chord from above. We're already on C, so we'll keep that. 7, and then F sharp diminished, E minor. Now I really like that B7 as a resolution to E minor, but again, for the sake of this exercise, we'll be doing our F sharp diminished to E minor. So, what does that sound like together? Alright, so already, just from that idea of approaching the chords diatonically, either from above or below, we've already managed to add some really interesting sounds into that chord progression. So if you're liking the video so far, please click the like button and stick around for even more passing chords. Okay, so the next passing chord we're going to look at, we're going to take the idea of secondary dominants. Okay, so each key, so in this case our key E minor, the dominant chord in this key is B7, so you could consider that the primary dominant chord, okay? But each of our chords, we can approach each of those chords with that key's corresponding dominant chord, okay? So what do I mean by that? So let's take G for example. G. The 5 chord on G is D or D7. Okay. Our C major chord, the 5 chord in C is G7. B7. Okay, 5 chord for B would be F sharp, so that gives us F sharp 7. Yeah, so those are secondary dominants, okay? They're kind of like they're secondary to the key, but we can think of each individual chord as having its own 5 chord, yeah? And that gives us this idea of secondary dominance. So if we do that, start off with our E minor. Lovely. Another way that we can use this idea of using the 5 of each chord is using what's called mu chords. Mu chords are a specific type of voicing for like a major add 9 chord, and I really enjoy using these. And it also kind of links into this idea of approaching diatonically from below as well. So I'll show you what I mean. So our secondary dominant for G is D7. Okay, so the 5 of G is D. Okay, now a mu chord, a D mu, looks something like this. So what is that? So essentially it's a D add 9 in first inversion, so it's got the F sharp on the bottom. But it's a very specific type of voicing. So in the left hand I've got this interval here, yeah, the flat 6 interval, F sharp, D, and then in the right hand I've got kind of a double 4th shape built from the 9th. By double 4th shape I mean 2 intervals of 4th kind of stacked on top of each other. Yeah, so we've got the major third and the root in the bass, then we've got the add 9, the fifth, and then we're doubling the root on top. Yeah? G, D. Yeah? The C, we've got on the B. Absolutely gorgeous sound. So if we take this idea of secondary dominance and replace the dominant seventh chords with their corresponding mu chords instead, we can get something a bit like this. Yeah. Beautiful sound. Yeah, really, really nice stuff. That's one of my favourite chords to use. Okay, so we're going to take this idea of secondary dominance and we're going to extend it a little bit. But in order to do that, we're going to make all of our primary chords in this progression, our E minor, G, C, B flat, sorry, B7. We're going to make them all seventh chords. Our B7 is already a seventh chord, but we're going to make E minor and E minor 7. We're going to make G major 7. We're going to make C major a C major 7. And we're going to keep our B7. We might even make that a flat 9. Because there's the C natural there, which is the flat 9 on B7. Alright, so we've made all of our chords seventh chords. We've got our secondary dominant, so we'll put those in as well. So E minor 7, D7, G major 7. E minor 7, D minor 7, G major 7. G7, C major 7, F sharp 7, D7, D7 flat 9. Okay, so like we took our chord and we put the 5 in front of it, we can also put the 2 in front of that 5. That's what gives us our 2, 5, 1, which is a staple cadence, particularly in jazz. Okay. So we'll go from our G major 7. Yeah. We know that we've got the 5 before that, which is D7. Now we can put the 2 before that. Okay, so we think of G as our 1. Yeah. And we've got D as our 5. We can also put the 2 before that. Yeah, 1, 2. So that will give us A minor 7, D7, yeah, that's our 2, 5, 1. Lovely sound. And we can do that for all the chords in the progression. Okay, so we'll take all of our chords, we've made them seventh chords. We've got our 5 before each of the 1s, and we can put our 2 before each of the 5s. Okay, so we'll see what that sounds like. you listen to all those rich harmonies, and the 2-5-1 gives some really nice voice leading as well. Okay, so we're going to take it a step further now, and we're going to introduce something called tritone substitution. Okay, so you take a dominant 7th chord, in this case let's take our D7, yeah. Now the 3rd and the 7th, okay, they are a tritone because they are 1, 2, 3, that interval is 3 tones apart, hence the name tritone, okay? And it's those notes, because this is an unstable interval and your ear really wants it to resolve down to the G. Okay, but the interesting thing about this interval, the 3rd and the 7th in D, if we look at the root note and we look at the chord which is a tritone away from that, in this case is A flat, you will see that A flat dominant 7th also has the same tritone. Yeah? So F sharp and C was the 3rd and 7th of D, but they are also the 7th and 3rd in A flat. So what we mean by tritone substitution is that you can take a dominant 7th chord and you can substitute it for its tritone, in this case A flat 7. Okay? So if we apply that to our sequence, so we have E minor 7, and then we'll have, yeah, and you can also think of tritone substitution as that you're approaching, again back to this idea of approaching from above or below, you're approaching it with a dominant chord that's half step above. Yeah? So we're going A flat 7 to G major 7, we're going D flat 7 to C major 7, we're going C7 to B7, and we are going F7 to E minor 7. And what we can do, the same way that we put the 2 in front of the 5 for our regular secondary dominant, we can put the 2 in front of these as well. Okay? So E flat 7, put the 2 in front of it, that becomes E flat minor 7. For D flat 7, put the 2 in front of it, that gives us A flat minor. Okay, for our C7, put the 2 in front of it, that gives us G minor 7. And for our F7, put the 2 in front of it, gives us C minor 7. Okay, so let's put that all together in the sequence and see what it sounds like. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah? Okay, so today I've shown you some interesting ways of using passing chords to inject some colour, some spice, and some, particularly in the last example, some interesting harmonic complexity into your chord sequences. I'd like to know if you've got anything to add. Do you have a particular way of approaching passing chords that you prefer, or is there something I haven't covered in this video that you really want to let me know about. If you do, then check it down in the comment section. And thanks again for tuning in, guys.